Hello everyone and welcome along to the gantry here at Ibrox, where I'm joined by Ross Chalmers after Rangers go down 2-0, go down to a 2-0 defeat to St Mirren here today. The worst performance of Philippe Clement's time as Rangers manager was how he put it in the press conference just there. Ross, what you said that to me during the game actually, but what's your overall evaluation of that?
Yeah, I think I said that 0-0 actually.
Yeah,
I thought it was the flattest I'd seen the team under Philippe Clement for a long time. And yeah, I think I agree with him once I heard it in the press conference. It was just, I don't know what that was supposed to be today. Clement just spoke in his press conference there about he doesn't really understand where these types of performances are coming from, lacked leadership in the park today. But ultimately, and I'm sure we'll get into it, that's Philippe Clement's responsibility. And I think we've seen again today that he is not the right fit for Rangers. This can't continue. I understand there's the takeover and all that in the air now, and that maybe slows things down. But I'm just not sure where this team are going to go under this manager towards the end of the season. And I appreciate there's not a lot to play for, but that today, I mean, Ibrox was empty by the 75th minute.
Yeah, it was.
That's how bad that was today. I mean, there was nothing to bring the support or keep the support around. And not to go too far ahead here, but I've been in Ibrox quite a lot of times where Rangers have been on the end of some poor results, but they've been knocking on the door the whole game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've been creating chances, been great saves. Things aren't coming off for them. There was none of that today.
There was 6 shots on target for St Mirren and 3 shots on target for Rangers. It's just,
and I think, and I know a lot of people hate this stuff, but I think the XG for St Mirren today was 1.46 and ours was like 0.7 or something.
Yeah.
Again, that's at home at Ibrox. I mean, that's twice we've played St Mirren now in the last couple of months. They've scored 4 goals, we scored 1. I mean, that's how. We're talking ridiculous levels here in the performances. So, yeah, I don't know where we go from here. I'm emotionally drained with Rangers at the moment. I think everyone is in the same place. I'm just completely finished with this manager. I can't watch the football any longer, and I totally understand why there was fans leaving early today and not showing up for this game, because I'm really close to that myself at the moment, and it feels strange to say. I never thought I'd be in this position.
Yeah, there's a few times today where we considered walking off the gantry because we were that. First it was cold, but
Bored?
second it was
It was
just
boring.
It was just boring, and that's what it was. There was no creativity. There was nothing to get excited about. I think the only period of excitement today in Ibrox was when Hamza Egeman's red card got
that was
changed
it.
to a yellow card. That was the only time that everyone in the stands got up, and it felt like an end of death play for half time. It's like, oh well, that's that.
Yeah.
That's that bit done. No changes at half time, which we'll come on to.
Can I just say, just before you continue,
Yeah.
see the flatness in the support, and maybe that does make its way onto the park. It's not an excuse. The players have to give the support something. The support have been through.
Clement did say that to him.
He
He
did.
said it's not an excuse.
He did, and I'm glad he took more responsibility in that press conference today, and that's something he should have done for a long time. But that the support are rightly flat, and I know there was a result across the city today that went our way, but again, the crowd come in here, and you know that it doesn't really mean anything, and that's such a strange thing to say. And it's like the players felt that as well, that it just this game it doesn't matter anymore. We're out of the title race, we're out of the Scottish Cup. Domestic doesn't matter. That's never going to be acceptable here. You've got to always.
Is it fair to say this team doesn't have a Rangers mentality?
Oh, definitely don't have a Rangers mentality. There's good players in this Rangers squad. There's no doubt about it. We've seen that at points this season. The European performances prove that, in my opinion, that there are some good players in this squad. But the mentality that is required in Scotland to go and win all of these trophies, I don't see it in the squad. I don't see it. And you're looking through. Clement spoke about it in his press conference there about leadership. I didn't see any of that today. See when Rangers went a goal down, I would expect them to be grabbing the ball.
Yeah.
Put it in the centre circle. Let's go.
I
would expect the tempo to lift. The tempo didn't lift.
Yeah. The only piece of leadership I saw today at all was from Nicholas Raskin after the second St Mirren goal, when he was over talking to Enciala. Looked like he was reassuring him and talking him up and stuff like that, and getting him going again. That was literally the only piece of leadership I saw today. You didn't see anything from senior members of the team. Didn't see anything from James Tavernier. Didn't see anything from Jack Butland. Actually, Jack Butland causes more problems now than he solves.
They're not playing for the manager, Craig. It's obvious. Like there
was no reaction either. Was it?
We
went 1-0 down. There was no reaction. Went 2-0 down. There was even less of a reaction. There was just nothing.
Nothing. There's not, and it comes from the sideline as well. I didn't see anything from Philippe Clement other than shouting and waving his hands. But ultimately, I think football players now, they want a wee bit more than that. They want a wee bit of tactical guidance.
You
they
said
want
as well,
to change
last
things.
20 minutes, he was just staring at his feet.
Just staring at his feet. He was out of answers. He just completely, he looks, and we have the privilege of being in that press conference, right? And we're very lucky to be there. To me, I think he knows this is done now.
Yeah.
After Queen's Park, I still felt there was a little bit in him where he was like, this is a bad result, but, we had all those shots on goal today and the performance maybe didn't deserve that type of shot, whatever. See, today, that was different.
Yeah.
He came in, he fronted up, he took responsibility, started speaking about how the board have to make a certain decision, things like that. He knows, right? It's obvious to see. I don't know when that will go out on social channels. I'm sure Rangers will release it at some point and everyone will get to see it. You'll know what I mean when you watch it. He knows that there was just a different Philippe Clement in that press conference today, and I think you've seen it in the last 20 minutes in this game. No answers. He didn't have anything, but
he still stuck to the only way I can win back fans is with performances. Is that just because there's nothing else to say?
But how long are we going to listen to these same phrases coming from Philippe Clement about performances, and that's the only way to? But we're not seeing that on the park. Any game, last week. I thought he would maybe cling on to that result at Hearts. I actually thought he would maybe mention it today because it was a good result. But again, if we're all honest, it was a shocking performance, right? So I thought he would maybe latch onto that. He didn't. I think he realises that it's not worth it. That it doesn't mean anything today. And I know we'll maybe go through the game a wee bit, but one of the most disappointing aspects for me was I don't think St Mirren had to work very hard for that today.
St Mirren didn't play any different to how you'd expect them to play. They weren't playing out their skin. They weren't creating loads of chances.
It's not like we were constantly keeping them penned in, under pressure, cutting through them, getting to the byline, cutbacks, shots being saved. There was none of that. None of it. I thought St Mirren came here today with a game plan and executed it perfectly, and Rangers had no solutions for that at all. And I think that comes to the manager. I think these players are completely lost. Now, I'm not giving them a pass. I think there's plenty of Rangers players in here that shouldn't be Rangers players and should be moved on.
But there's plenty of decent players in there as well, and
players,
they need to take responsibility and have their own personal pride. And it doesn't seem like they have that at this moment in time. It doesn't seem like they have that drive to just be the best that they can be individually. And it looked like a team of individuals rather than a team out there.
Clement said it. He said that he felt like his team were playing in islands. That was the way he described it. And I think that's fair as well, because it did feel disjointed today. There wasn't a lot of connection or cohesion on that park, and that's what you're looking for in these moments, especially the moments you go down. But again, I'll bring it back to this. I hate to repeat myself, but I don't know if the players have got something to really hold on to and believe in. Like in terms of when Rangers are up against it, what do they fall back on? Do they fall back on the style of play they want to execute, and they know it inside out, and they're like, listen, if we keep going, we'll get the result? I don't see that. I just see Rangers players that are hoping for the guy next to them to do the...
Exactly, It's still looking for that piece of individual brilliance that will just get them out of hole and will win them the game. There's no clear strategy, there's no clear approach, there's no clear... Right, we just need to... Even just, like, you see it so many times with teams that have a style and they're committed to it, and sometimes it causes them problems and sometimes it doesn't, but they're committed to it, and they event, like... in the most difficult times, in the most difficult periods of games, is when they rely on it most.
Yeah.
And when you don't have a style, when you don't have a way of playing, I mean, today, for example, we'd clearly identified that St Mirren are a big team, we're a smaller team, we're not going to swing balls into the box.
They'll play short.
But all we did in play was swing balls into the box.
Yeah.
So why are you not doing it for the corners when you've actually got your big guys up front and you've got the centre halves there who are your tallest players on the pitch, and yet you're then trying to swing balls into no one a lot of the time, because Cyril Dessers at the edge of the box and Igaman's playing a number 6 role for some reason.
Yeah, that was a real frustration of mine today, and there's no point in going digging into the details and the tactical aspect of it, but Hamza Igaman dropping so deep to get on the ball because there's no patterns for him to... He doesn't have the trust in the rest of the team that if he stays where he is, he's going to get the ball at certain points. It just doesn't come. This Hadji on the left-hand side, I think Hadji's a good individual player. Probably will move on from Rangers in the summer, right? But I think Hadji's a good player, but this on the left doesn't work. Because
he's got no pace.
He's got no pace, and him and Jeff, they seem completely lost when they're next to each other. They don't really understand what either are trying to do. Neither of them are willing to make that kind of run to the byline to stretch. It doesn't work.
Jeffy and Ridvan is a much better solution. But even if you put Igaman there, I when I saw the starting lineup, I thought Igaman would start out wide left. He'd have Hadji in behind Dessers in that and just having that bit of creativity in that tight area. But Igaman was in there instead, was dropping deeper. Hadji was out left, kind of getting in the way. Not even try. Hadji knows he's got no pace. The defender knows he's got no pace, so the defender just stands him up.
Yeah.
Hadji turns back, passes into the middle. We eventually lose momentum at any point, and attacks at that point as well. Jeff Day isn't even trying to overlap for the byline. It's just so dysfunctional. It's unreal.
Like for like substitutions as well, which frustrates me. There's not a
see Igaman for Danilo.
Yeah.
Danilo for Igaman. Sorry, is the right way around to say that, but you're 1-0 down at that point. You need to score 2 goals, and you take off. Why would you not have all 3 strikers?
I'm certain Igaman in the league is our top goal scorer. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he is. So, okay, was he great again today? No, I don't think he was. But again,
look, Gibson 97 says, sorry, our hands are cold here, so I might not be able to
play it. Yeah, my hands are freezing here. Yeah,
Igaman was scoring hat-trick versus Hibs, and now he's been moved to accommodate Dessers. Is that a big factor in why Igaman's form has maybe dropped off a little bit?
I understand why Igaman plays in that role if you're going from the start with a Dessers, right? Because the deal is obviously not fit enough yet to start. I understand Igaman playing in that role from the start, but it wasn't working, right? We weren't creating enough. So for me, if you do want to bring Danilo on and you want to keep Hadji on that left-hand side for his creativity, Dessers is the obvious one for me to come off.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see anything from Dessers today to go, there's a reason why you keep him on. I think Igaman through the middle with a wee bit more creativity behind him, a wee bit more movement behind him would have helped him.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen before Danilo got injured, Igaman and Danilo worked really well. So again, it's that reluctance from Clement to put on these players in these moments. I don't understand. Substitutions, again, there's no point in going into the detail, but like I said earlier, it's like for like. You know, you bring a Tom Lawrence on, you take off Diamonde. You know, again, I'm like, I don't really understand that. Other than you
bringing
think
Tom Lawrence doesn't make any sense.
4 months left. 4 months left in his contract. You think Tom Lawrence is going to come onto this park and give absolutely everything for Rangers to get the result? I don't. Now I know that sounds like I'm.
But even if he did give everything, he's not a player that's going to make a difference. He's not shown at any point that he's a player that's going to make a difference.
I would have rather. I'd rather at that moment because he brought Barami on as well, right? So I would have rather in that moment that. This is the time, right? You're down. I think it was 1-0 at that point, right? Is this not the point that you bring a Finlay Curtis on who is a left winger? Right now, is he going to be that second choice when Oscar Cortez comes back? Unlikely. But for me, in that moment, you need someone that can come on, run at their man, stretch the game, create a 1v1 opportunity, beat their man, open up space. We don't do that. We bring on Tom Lawrence, we bring on Barami, and it doesn't. We've seen now that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So. Yeah, there's like we said, there's no point in digging into the detail of the game. I'm sure we'll talk about the goals, but
one thing I want to pick up on from Philippe Clement's press conference that we've not really spoken about yet was that he said they'd had a good week in training. That they'd I don't need to say more than that.
every completed week with Philippe Clement in training, this Rangers team looked worse.
Yeah, but when they go into the pitch, you don't see anything. We spoke about the lack of patterns of play. There's not even any cohesion between the team. They know each other, or like they're full-time footballers that train every day with each other. There's none of that. There's no creativity. There's no invention. There's no off-the-cuff stuff that you're like, they've got good like chemistry. You go like FIFA Ultimate Team style stuff. You got the chemistry that different players have.
What age are you again? That's how you're using it as a comparison. No, I know exactly what you're saying in terms of you can look at it from the way we play from the back, right? We want to play from the back because that's the kind of what the better teams do. But I don't see any actual patterns to play out.
No.
Do you get what I mean? So when we get put under pressure and the ball comes wide to a Jeffy or a Tav, teams just pen us in and we can't play.
Yeah.
There's not like a ball down the side from Tav to Czerny, flicks it inside, Diamonde picks it up and drives, and there's none of that.
How much of that is down to I think the midfield of Raskin and Diomande together is quite dysfunctional, actually. But how much of that is down to their lack of movement and creating space to help defenders get that space to get
I think there is a little bit of that, and he's obviously asking Raskin to stay as the kind of central pivot, what you would call. He's the guy that stays in there and he ticks it over, and when the ball goes side to side, he's always a kind of central option. Diamonde's given that little bit more freedom where you can go and pick up pockets. But yeah, I'm not sure Raskin and Diamonde work as a two. I think to get the best out of the two of them long term, you would probably go to a three, right? And you would bring another midfielder in that kind of cover some other space in there. So, like I said again, probably no point in digging into this like in detail. There's lots of problems structurally in this Rangers team. I think everyone can see that they don't work, and I think that comes from the manager. The proof is there now. He spoke about it. We had a really good week of training. You said it perfectly there. I don't see that.
No,
I don't. There's not even one thing I could pick and go, oh, they've definitely been working on that.
It's the exact same thing of after every international break where we have 2 weeks to train, we come back worse.
Yeah, we come back flat. Yeah,
we come back worse than before. We don't have the energy. There's still no partner play. We really struggle for the first half an hour. The only time we can play is in Europe. And we were talking about this earlier on. Philippe Clement's pre-match press conference, obviously, was just after Fenerbahce was announced, and he spoke about how he doesn't enjoy playing against Jose Mourinho's style of play because it's more defensive.
Strange comment as well. Yeah.
Firstly, why are you annoying Jose Mourinho before you play his team? But secondly, he must think he has a style of play, and he must think he has a more attacking style of play that is. I don't know. I just can't. In my head, I can't get my head around what he thinks he's got and what he thinks he's seen, what he thinks he's put in place.
Yeah, I can't. I can't really see where Philippe Clement's coming from in that one. I think it's quite evident that he doesn't have a distinguishable style. There's nothing that I look at and go, that's a real kind of Philippe Clement side. He came in last season, he got a bounce, and I think even at that point, if we all look back, I don't think the performances were great, but he got results. Yeah. And we had really been struggling, and the fans bought into that. And then when it came to the summer window, you thought, right, okay, get some of his players in, he can mould this squad the way he wants. But I think as time has went on, I think clearly there's obviously a good manager in there for Philippe Clement, and I think that we're all angry at the moment, but I genuinely do.
Is there?
I do think there's a good manager in there. I don't think you win 3 titles in Belgium if there's not a good manager there.
But you then saw what happened at Monaco. You've seen very similar patterns in Monaco as to what happens here.
So maybe what he's had in Belgium he's not been able to replicate. But I do think there is a good manager in there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went someone else and he seemed to rejuvenate his career. But he doesn't fit Rangers, and he doesn't fit Scottish football. He does not have the answers. It's clear. He does not know how to break these teams down. They come and sit in a low block and they make it difficult. And they're really physical. Like St Mirren today were really physical. Like the big thing I worried about today with Rangers, there was numerous things, but the big thing I worried about was how many second balls did Rangers lose today?
Yeah.
Every time the ball broke and St Mirren were challenging a duel, they won it. And they could break away. There was at one point where the St Mirren keeper shells the ball long straight down the middle. I think it's Olasanya comes in and just chests it down. There's no one around him.
Just moved in between the midfield and defence.
I understand they're a big side, but where is the physicality? Like you have to earn the right to play, right? You've got to compete. If you're coming out against a side like that today, and they're going to make it tough and they're going to be physical, you've got to come in. You've got to match it.
Yeah.
You've got to match it, and I don't see that coming from the players. Whether that's a mentality thing, I don't know. But again, it comes back to the manager for me. The manager has to take responsibility. He has today. Credit to him on that. He has. I don't think it's enough to save his job, unfortunately. I think he will be moved on, whether that's in the next coming weeks or the end of the season. Philippe Clement won't be the Rangers manager next season. I'm pretty convinced by that. I feel for the support that we have to sit and we have to endure this for the rest of the season, because I think we can all be honest right now and say I don't think anyone looked forward to coming to Ibrox. I don't think there's any supporter in there that sits and goes, I can't wait to go and watch my team today. Even though there's some good players there, I don't think there's any supporter that goes, I can't wait to go and watch Rangers today. And that's a sad place to be.
It's a very sad place to be. You spoke about the physicality there, and St Mirren just winning that on all counts during today's game. Both goals were lost, I think, due to physicality. Clinton Enciala.
Just caught under the ball, isn't he?
Caught under the ball and then not strong enough to stand his ground, I think, on both occasions. I did think he was clipped for the first one. I'd like to see that back. But the second one, he's just done all ends up and rolled by a defender. He's a young player. He's playing his first season of professional football. We know how physical the Scottish League can be. That'll be a steep learning curve for him. And I think it should be expected that young players, when they do come in, will make mistakes. Is it just unfortunate he's come in the run and in the position Rangers are in at this moment in time, where it's almost like he can't make mistakes or he can't afford to make mistakes?
I don't know. I think, look, we can't we can't all talk about developing players and we want them to get opportunities, and then when they make the type of errors today, jump all over them. Clinton Inciala was going to make mistakes. Unfortunately for him, it looks like he's made 2 in the same game. Which is a tough one, and it is a steep learning curve. What I would say on the other side of that is his team didn't bail him out today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know it really sounds daft to say because Rangers lost 2-0 and Inciala was at fault for the 2 goals, but that's not why Rangers lost the game today, right? And
we're not scoring at the other end.
Exactly, we didn't create enough chances. You said at the beginning of the podcast, three shots on target at home. And you're playing against the St Mirren side who obviously have a good record against us lately, but they've not been flying this season, right? They've been a kind of mid-table SPFL club, and I think that's the thing I feel the most sorry for, to be honest with you, when it comes to Clinton Inciala. You could see him at the end; he was gutted, right? Yeah. He understands he's made a couple of big mistakes there, and ultimately, and when it comes to the scoreline, he's cost Rangers today. But I look at the rest of the team there. He's a young boy. It's only his 6th or 7th game for Rangers. Not got a lot of experience behind him. I'm wanting the other guys in the team to bail him out. Do you know what I mean? I'm wanting them to go when that first goal goes in and goes like, no, we can't have this on this young boy. We need to go and deliver. Shouldn't take that, to be honest. But that's where my frustration comes. I think Rangers should have been well clear that when these mistakes happen, you understand it. You say it's part of development and you move on. I feel sorry for him now. He's going to be labelled with that. But look, I think overall, Inciala has shown a lot of good potential there. I think there's a really good player in there. These things happen, and if we want to develop players, we've got to be accepting that these things will happen.
Just to kind of round off the podcast,
please, I'm miserable.
I'm going to come at you with a hard question now. What next for Rangers? What next for Philippe Clement? What next for Patrick Stewart? I came into today after the week that's been, all the takeover talk, all the Patrick Stewart's interview, etc. I came into today effectively believing and being resigned to the fact that Philippe Clement is here till the end of the season as manager. It makes sense if there's going to be a takeover, new owners, they want their own person in anyway. So what's the point in sacking him now, getting someone else in, and then they change it again in a few months' time? Enough is enough, though, really. And what point do you get someone in, just a temporary caretaker kind of manager, see us through to the end of the season? We do have a last 16 tie in Europe to contend with. A stupid question, but does that matter or does it not matter?
Well,
and then, but what next?
What next? What a broad question. Should it matter about Europe? Well, in my opinion, no, it shouldn't matter. I think there's enough evidence that Philippe Clement shouldn't be the Rangers manager, and I think there's enough evidence to suggest that he shouldn't have the opportunity to take us into that last 16 tie. Now, there might be a lot of people out there that say that's harsh, and he was the manager that got us that top 8 finish, but at the end of the day, Rangers, you're judged on domestic silverware. Yeah, it's never going to change. I know European football is really important for the financial side of this club, and it's always going to be the case, but this club is judged on trophies, how many trophies you win, and Philippe Clement is not delivering that aspect. He's 13 points behind the league, should have been shortened today, and it's not. He's out of both cup competitions. That's the barometer for me, and he should be removed. In terms of what's next,
would you remove him now?
I would
tonight, tomorrow.
Craig, I would have removed him after Aberdeen.
I think
was that October, maybe.
Yeah.
So that's when I would have removed him.
We spoke about it earlier on. We spoke about it after Dynamo Kyiv at Hampden,
and we speculated that might be a result that. There's an argument to say you should get rid of him because it was such a bad performance at Hampden that night. But maybe that was a bit early. But Aberdeen was where I changed my mind. But there's no point in going back on it. The way I look at this, right? We just lost to Queen's Park last week in the Scottish Cup.
He didn't sack him.
We didn't sack him.
Yeah.
And Patrick Stewart comes out and he spoke about it at the weekend. He's not going to come out after every bad performance and bad result and further back the manager. I think it's clear Philippe Clement is going to stay at Rangers until the end of the season. When that Patrick Stewart interview first came out, I think a lot felt that doesn't make any sense. We're not seeing any improvement under the manager. Now that the takeover news is in the mix and it's amongst the media, I think you can understand why they won't remove Philippe Clement, because when it comes to payoffs, who's responsible for that, right? It gets a bit messy. I think there's probably an acceptance at the club at the moment that these things are going on at the top. That's the priority, and unfortunately, the team will have to suffer while that goes on. That, from a fan perspective, you hate accepting that, but I think that's what the club will think. If you wanted my honest answer, Yeah, I would remove him. I would bring in an interim. I don't think it matters who that interim would be, because I think fans are accepting that there's not really going to be much more to get excited about this season. But that would be my approach, because I just think you could see it today in the stands, the manager himself, the players. This is finished. This is finished. This is done. This experiment it's finished. Wish all the best for Philippe Clement when he leaves. Hope he has success somewhere else, but he's finished at Rangers.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We'll round off the podcast there. It's not been an enjoyable day at Ibrox, I think it's fair to say.
I feel like I'm saying that all the time now.
Yeah. I can't disagree with that. I'm going to try and combat that somehow, but I cannot disagree with that one. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, commenting. Please do leave your thoughts on Philippe Clement, on this Rangers team in the comments. Continue the discussion. Drop a like in the video if you've I'm going to say enjoyed the content, but if you've if you enjoyed Ross and my company, I don't think
anyone's enjoyed
if you enjoyed Ross and my company, please do drop a like and subscribe to the TI YouTube channel. Helps us massively. And I'll be back tomorrow with the team live at 7:30 p.m. to try and unpack what's happened today. We'll try and unpack what's happened all this week. To be fair, more takeover talk, more manager talk, all the good stuff. Make sure you join us at 7:30 p.m. Until next time, goodbye.